my friends, and welcome to another episode of Manufacturing Transformed podcast. I am on a high right now. I just had a fantastic conversation with Mike Hudson from Serbin Machining in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Mike is running the business there, but it is owned by and was recently purchased in late 2023 by a good friend of mine, John and Tricia Newman from Austin, Texas. They run a very big machine shop there called Athena Manufacturing. But they bought this business because they wanted to basically create a case study of what you can do when you buy a business that's at risk, that really needs some new investment, new vitality, new systems, processes, people, and doing that with ProShop. So John bought ProShop even before he closed on the business. He hired Mike even before he closed on the business. And to say that this was a transformation is a vast understatement. You know, this was a business that would have closed its doors if it wasn't for what they have done with it. And it's an incredible honor to have ProShop be a crucial part of the tool set that they are using to grow this business. Mike is being a little bit conservative when he says they have 4x'd the revenue in a year and a half. It's actually probably closer to 5x is what he said. Yeah, it is truly a remarkable story. And I won't go any more detail. Mike is a super experienced professional. He knows what he's talking about, and it's incredible to have him share all of the results and be a part of that here at ProShop. So without further ado, let's get into it. Good morning, Mike. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
So you are with Serbin Machining in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And before we hit record here, we were just talking, and you were sharing some truly incredible results, which I'm so excited to dig into. But you kind of came to my radar when I asked in our ProShop forum, "Hey, anyone want to be on the show? We're looking for a guest." And you saw that and jumped right in, volunteered, and the results are nothing short of almost unbelievable. But we know that they are real. But let's start by getting to know a little bit about your background and about Serbin as well.
Oh, sure. Thanks so much for having me on. My name is Mike Hudson. I'm operations manager here at Serbin Machining here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I've been around machine shops for over 30 years, managing production, throwing chips around, mentoring teams, working through all kinds of manufacturing headaches. In fact, my oldest son, who's 30, works as a 5-axis machinist right here in the same town. So it's
super cool.
Serbin Machining, we're a shop that we're running on good intentions and tribal knowledge and not much else. But since our new ownership and rolling out ProShop, we really undergone a massive transformation from paper chaos to structured clarity. Now, I'm here today to talk about the ProShop, how ProShop has helped us leap decades forward, and what it means for our team and all the customers in the future.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the business. So it's been in business for quite a long time, but you have a fairly new owner, John and Tricia Newman. So tell us about that.
I was working for one of the labs out here, Honeywell. There's Los Alamos and Sandia and Honeywell. I was with Honeywell. And this opportunity came up in December of 23. It's kind of by happenstance. When this opportunity kind of found me, it's kind of fake. We saw potential in the bones of what this place was and decided to breathe some life back into it. It's incredible because I'm not going to give away John's age, but why most people might be retiring, this guy up and buys MachineShop. So it shows you something. He's a hyper successful guy, and he made the right decision.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine, and he is often up, I believe, at like 1 or 2 a.m. on his exercise bike, listening to podcasts and learning things, and just going for
it. He's something to take a page from. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
And then the other half is if you forget to put your phone on silent, and he's an hour ahead of me. So when my alarm starts going off at 3:30, 4 a.m. with text and emails, I'm like, wow, that guy. But it's all in the scope of making this code successful. So it's okay.
Yeah. All right. And give us a snapshot of what the business, machines, people, specialty, kind of what is the...
Sure. So we're a small shop. We've got we specialize in non-rotating aerospace parts. We serve a tier 1, tier 2, GE, kind of those, some of the key players. We started with 7 employees. We've grown to 12, and we're taking on 2 more right after this July holiday. So we'll be at 14. Since taking over, profits have increased conservatively by 4x. And now some people are like, that can't be. Well, I'm telling you, that's exactly right, with the same group of people. So it's just a major, shift driven by successes from our ProShop software.
Mhm. So you came in during this transition period, so you didn't have a ton of history, but tell us about what, paint the picture of what the company was struggling with at the time you came in, and ultimately why, John and Trisha decided that ProShop was the tool they wanted to use.
Yes. So everything was paper based, job list, material notes, due dates. They were scribbled, scattered, just hard to track. There was literally no visibility. You couldn't answer a basic question like, hey, did you order that material? Hey, where's my part? The customer called. And one example is in 2023 alone, once they bought the company, we did a little snapshot looking back. And we found that $7,600 was ordered for overnight tooling just to hit deadlines they weren't properly prepared for. So we have strong long-term LTA agreements, but just no system to manage any of that. That changed after we bought and implemented ProShop.
So that 7,600 was just the actual overnight shipping fees.
Oh yeah, sure was. And you fall over, and anybody who's in a small shop where every dollar counts. I'm not saying
Yeah.
$7,600 is okay to lose, but dear God, we have LTA agreements. We know what jobs are coming up. We know what tools we need. We know, all these things are laid out for you months. Our contracts go to 2028 and past. How do you not have the tools here, right? So you just decide yourself that.
Yeah, and that's probably just a drop in the bucket compared to the machine downtime, if that's actually what it causes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this job for quite a while, and the normalcy of, well, the tool's not here. We'll let that one sit. We wanted this one. What do you mean you're letting it sit? Those are when the spindle's not moving, dollars are flowing right out the window.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that paints enough of the picture. Probably all the other systems were equally not as mature.
Yes.
So how did you guys decide ProShop versus another different ERP system?
Good question. So I've been machining for 30 years. I've been fortunate enough to be in a position to help implement some of those. I've implemented other ERP systems like E2, JobBoss, and recently Estatrack. And then when I saw ProShop, it just made more sense. Everything a machinist needs is already built in. Training's world class. The user experience is designed for people who actually run parts, not sit behind a desk. Other systems are, good. They have their areas, but ProShop was an easy decision for us.
Mm-hmm. And so when did you then implemented it in 2024?
No, when we hit the ground, John had already purchased ProShop before he bought the business. So
Okay.
before they purchased the business, he made it clear they already invested in this system. And we looked into it, it was already a done deal. And we hit the ground running in December with training. So yeah, we hit the ground
December of 23.
in
Okay.
December of
So
23.
got it. Okay. So how many various spreadsheets? You obviously didn't have another formal ERP, although you have a lot of experience with them. But you guys were just on spreadsheets and whatever else. Do you have an idea of how many other little databases or spreadsheets or paper forms or things could have got replaced?
Yeah, it sounds like you're making this stuff up, but this was how they were running. Is how many spreadsheets that ProShop replaced was too many to count. Calibration logs, tool tracking, job travelers, material search, purchase orders, customer requirements. I mean, you name it. It was all in individual folders on somebody else's computer. And if you wanted that information, I laughed because I said, "Hey, send me that file." They literally handed me this.
A thumb drive.
Yeah, I was like, "What? But Army networked? Nope."
No network.
Yeah. So I mean, and it sounds like it's not true. That's literally how they did it. So we're an ISO ITAR compliant shop, and just shoving all that paperwork across all the disconnected systems was kind of a negative.
Yeah.
So ProShop unified everything. Now we have one source of truth on one system. So it's
I mean, what you're describing is not uncommon. I'm sure, as you know, from having been in lots of shops before, but it's
well, every shop has like how they would do it, but you're still lost. You still don't have one system. You still don't have one place where these things are at. So
Got it. Is there any particular, as you're going through the implementation process, right? It's oftentimes the case that people have kind of an aha moment. Now, it sounds like when you first saw it, you're like, this just makes sense because I know what machinists need. Do you remember any aha moment like this feature is just going to change everything?
yeah, so when you're machining parts, you know how you want it done, how it should be done, and so on. So we were going through training. You sit back and listen, but you're in the back of your mind, like, what about this? Here's how I do this. How are they doing this? And dude, this guy in the training, we opened up the parts folder and it already had the folders that I put in place over the years of experience. I was just like, that's it. Like they got it down because that's a level of detail that you don't find in other softwares, in other places. You find it in some homegrown systems. You find it in that this is how this one guy does it. It's okay. But this was a format that was fantastic. So when he said, here's the part folder, open it up. And I was like, and I almost was like, but I started looking in there. I'm like, oh, dude, this guy's got it right. They've got it right. They've got it right here. They put it in here. There was no more chasing, paper, reinventing processes. ProShop already had the framework that was already built in. So that alone saved us countless, countless hours of confusion.
And that was your implementation specialist showing you that?
Yeah, doing the training. Yeah, and early on, I also teach MasterCam. And when you have students early on, you're putting it together, but they don't have their aha moment until certain features show up, And this was mine was when you showed me the parts folder, and I was like, that's just different. It's all putting together.
Yeah. 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 It's kind of boggling to me that other systems don't create a file structure like that. Like it's so foundational to staying organized.
Microsoft put a downloads folder finally after years, people complaining, we're having Windows X and so on.
Yeah.
So now when you buy a Microsoft system, there's a downloads folder because everybody would create one and have one to put their stuff in. ProShop had already gone through the growing phases of what people really need, and they put it in place. And just when you think, well, what about this? There's a solution right here, and it's so easy. Sometimes I tell my trainer, I was like, hey, man, could you struggle a little bit because you're making it too easy?
That's awesome. Well, it was Vic, I think, right? Was your trainer?
We had a couple. I think one guy had a family situation which switched over midway through.
Oh, yeah.
The latest guy, Eric, he's been fantastic. Everybody's been really fantastic.
Yeah, that team has they all have significant shop floor experience, so it's they understand the lingo, they know why it matters. You're not going to stump them with a question. So let's talk about the changes in the office, right? How you were doing, quoting and processing new orders, purchasing, things like that, and what's changed.
So ProShop has so many pieces to it, but they're easy to follow because it's what you would do if it was your shop, right? So in the front office, it's going to tell us what job's next, what's due, what's running, how efficient they're running. It's like 20,000 foot view of the entire shop floor, and it's live and accurate. So, office side, Monday morning client calls. This is no joke. You'd have a WIC call, and it was about 90 minutes long. And I would be like, thank God I didn't have a camera at the time. I'd run out to the shop floor, get the information, run back here, and try and deliver, what we could at best. This week's call, with a couple of clicks, our current call is about 15 minutes.
So we went from 90 minutes to 15 minutes.
These are extremes because we were archaic, but the reality is you're going to see instant answers, live results, who's on what order, how far they are. I got 5 completed, so on, and it's live and accurate. So there's no more running out to the shop floor to kind of hunt down some answers. It's really just, let's see what ProShop says, and just go out the screen. I have dual screens, so one screen's got my ProShop, one screen's got our meeting. I just follow through what they're asking for and hover versus flick, and all the answers are there. It's pretty good.
Wow. I think one of the questions we'll get to is, how customers have responded. Maybe this is a good time to just do that one right off the bat. Have you gotten feedback about, your ability to deliver information faster?
Yes.
Status, on-time delivery, whatever it might be.
Yes, and with respect to the previous owners, and they're not here to defend themselves on why they didn't jump to the sector of software visibility, we'll pass that up. But the customer has noticed from previous owners to now the difference in clarity, difference in quality, the difference in the answers. Not, let me get back to you. My pet peeve is nobody's waiting on us. If somebody needs an answer, we will get them. Okay, so I'm waiting on Joey. Guess what? Joey's team's call, click away. He's on the call, right? So when our customer calls and wants to know what's going on in WIP and what's going on, did we order this material? I can show you back in January of 23, we ordered this material. It hasn't been here yet because casting houses is our casting houses. But we can answer those without let me take a note and get back to you. So not only have they noticed, they appreciate it. It's a night and day compared to how we were operating.
You feel like that gives them a higher level of confidence in placing more work with you guys?
So good. And this is off topic, but you asked, so I'll answer it. One of the parts we ran, we did 2,000 a year.
Okay.
I said, here's what we can do. Here's what the race shows what our potential is. So this year we got the same part. We have 66,000.
From 2,000 to 66,000?
Yeah. So we just get a second shift, turn it and burn. Yeah.
So they were not just dual sourcing it, they had many other suppliers making them or something. And now
when they say, what do you have of capacity? And you can't answer them, there's no confidence. You can,
wow.
you can say you can, but, materials is, 4 months out. No, it's not. I can show you right here. Do it, doctors, this date. And that customer is at 95% accuracy. So you can count on that. Setup time is now this, and run time is this, with 2 shifts, and we just go through the flow. I could take on this work, give it to me. And, first was a little pushback. And then they said, you asked for it. So I said, and we're covering it.
Wow.
So we can look at our schedule and visibility and say, worst case scenario, here's 1.5 shifts. Best case scenario, here's 3 shifts. Here's what we can do. And they say, here. So one of the parts that's a huge win for us was, it's like 66,000 over 2 years. Where before we did 2,000 over like a year and a half. So it's huge win. And that's why our profits are 4 times what they used to be with the same group. It's not pie in the sky numbers. These are real numbers that we are actually making with the same group of people.
Wow. Do you happen to listen to MachineShop Mastery yourself?
MachineShop Mastery, your podcast?
Yeah. Sometimes.
We have them dog-eared, and we have the shop. We have shop time. I have a huge tier, 75-inch, whatever screen out front. You guys can watch videos.
That's fun.
The bandwidth for this position and the growth we have is pretty small. But like John, you'll turn it on the drive home. I'll turn it on, a couple times here and there. But I rarely can get through an episode before something else pops up.
I know they're kind of long, and I apologize. But the reason I ask is I did one recently with Mike Payne, who's the host of By the Numbers, and a co-host with me on Making Chips too. But we did one about 4xing your value on buying a shop, and one of the things is growing revenue with existing clients. A new owner comes in, brings some new vitality, new life. And just what you're describing there is like verbatim what we talked about is possible. And, you and John and Trisha are now doing that by, putting in the systems to allow greater scale, greater systemization. And then also that's leading to growing the revenue base with existing customers only without even going and finding new ones.
Yeah, we haven't. In fact, one of the customers sends us stuff to quote all the time. And I told the team, we're not quoting. We're not quoting with this cluster of a mess. I don't even know what we have on the schedule. I don't know if we can deliver it. So I stopped quoting. And I know that's a cardinal sin. But we stopped quoting and just improve the processes we have. We delegated some continuous improvement, exercises through the week. But without even those taking full effect, it's literally putting things in place so they run smoothly. You've got visibility, when parts are coming in, who's running what machine. The guys have all their jobs in order at the machine, at the station, ready to go. There's no fumbling for tooling. And by the way, we're a small shop. I don't have a kitting guy. I don't have a tool setter. We don't have those things. We have the guys on the floor who knows what's coming up next and know what's expected. They have a tool list. They have everything that they need to be successful. The shop manager has been fantastic with implementing who's running what they should be doing. And if there's a hiccup, it's just a learning curve. We're probably the most laid back shop you've ever seen when it comes to that. But it's really just a good place to be. And ProShop is just helping us fulfill the potential that we already have.
Well, you segued perfectly into the next question about what the process has changed in the shop, and you've already just laid out some. But so without a toolkitter, so are the guys just kitting their own tools with sort of excess runtime they have while their machines are running? Yeah, can you just describe that a bit?
Yeah, so it's the culture, right? So I've been friends with a lot of other shop owners here in Albuquerque, and they've had some time to ask me, how are you getting guys to run two machines? We got one guy with machine focus, and that's fantastic. But our culture is, you've got time to do this, then you should be doing this also. For example, I've got 66,000 of these things to bag and tag. You think my shipping guy is going to get muscle fatigued by his own? No. You've got a batch of 500. You've got a batch of, it's really get in where you fit in, and the team delivers. They understand to make this shop successful. It's not my job mentality isn't here. And the mentality, well, that's how they like it. You ask anybody here, we don't use the word they because we're here. You need something, you can ask me, you can ask the shop for me, you can ask the front office. There's no they. As a team, we deliver. So if you're asked to do something that's not in your normal scope, we'll train you and they jump in and do it. My shipper receiving guy is out marking parts. He's been trained on it. And in ProShop, so those of you who don't know, you can't produce or have a guy do a task who's not trained in. So we have training metrics. They're trained in this. They pass my RACICs of how they're doing it, a group of 3 people, and then they're accepted. Now they can now be trained, and now they can do that task, whether it's part marking, chemical etch, operating machine, something simple like operator. You have to pass. You can't just be thrown in. So what ProShop puts all those things in place, so what's coming down the pipeline, and just accordingly.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. Is that what the culture was when you guys came in? I'm guessing not.
No. We had one guy here he just retired last Friday. He was here 39 years.
Wow.
So if he could tilt over and put all that tribal knowledge into ProShop, that was fantastic. And we did our best to pool all that tribal knowledge, because if you need something, go see this guy. Need to order a tool? Go see this guy. Did you order this material? And he'd clickety-click, look it up and find it on his computer or wherever the stuff was, it was archaic. And, pull an old flash drive. I think this has it here. It would take, sometimes it's quick, sometimes about an hour to get a result. So that was not how we were doing it. They were hand delivering, hand asking, all kinds of stuff.
Wow. Well, that is quite a change from the way it used to be to the way it is now. And that's clearly not ProShop. That's you and the leadership, building that culture, building that muscle of, if I have extra time, I'm going to do something value added and contribute back to the team, right? That's just that mindset shift is huge. So great work on that. Let's talk about quality for a minute. I imagine, you obviously work at a pretty high level in terms of the customers you serve, so quality has to be really good. Historically, was quality checks done on paper, done on spreadsheets? How has it changed?
So, quality has improved 10 times. Seriously. So every tool is tracked and proactively flagged for calibration, right? In-process inspections are now digital, traceable by the employee and the operation. Operators cannot perform a task like I just talked about unless they've been trained and approved in ProShop. So if you want to pass a PRI audit, and you want to sleep well at night knowing that your process is good, ProShop's the way to go.
That's amazing. So I imagine you're accustomed to the typical, you have an audit coming up, ISO audit or something, and you got to scramble for weeks to get ready and prepare. And
yes. So ironically, you can't see my calendar, but I have dog-eared 9 months, 3 months, 9 months, 6 months, 3 months, and then day out audit to practice with PRI. Our first dry run we're just like, well, now what do we do? Because it was, the parts were there, components were there, all the material source were tied, traceable back to everything you could possibly use. The tools, one click of the tool shows you its update for calibration. It was in calibration at the time. So it was just like, well, now what do we do with all this extra time? So now we're just deep diving and improving processes with those hours, But our first dry run, I figure, like you said, when you've got an audit coming up, you need to get the stuff ready, get it lined up, make sure this is done, this is done, this is done. You guys ready? This area ready? And we've implemented ProShop, so when it comes to our audits, it was pretty easy.
So yeah, we have this concept over the zero prep audit. You feel like you'll get there?
I'm going to say I have
Yeah.
more confidence. I mean, like I said, the first dry run we did it in pick a couple of parts. We picked random parts, so it wasn't like, hey, here's a part we know is good. Let's pick some random parts and see how it looks. And everything was traceable. I had everybody in the meeting to that touched the part, handled it, shipped it, you name it, and everything was a couple of clicks away. There's nothing you could ask for. Where's your quality documents?
Right.
Click. Where's your this? Click. Well, show me this. So we have what they're going to be asking for. With an ISO shop, we've been doing it forever. But now there's no scrambling for paper. Is this an O or a zero? Is this calibrated? Show me this. I don't have to scramble. The guy that did our PRI audit for ISO mid-year, mid-cycle, he was in and out in a couple of hours. He was spending almost a full day here in the past. He was like, I'm going to go home and get my time done. And he literally went back to his hotel.
That's amazing. Wow, super cool. You keep talking about this one system that one system for everything. That's certainly some of the language we use, and sometimes people actually say ProShop is the backbone of their company. Is that an appropriate description of how you feel right now about running the whole business front to back?
I'd say it's the core of how we operate. That's for sure. Every decision, every process, every part moves through ProShop. It's what keeps us aligned, informed, and ready for growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wonderful. Let's talk about ROI, if it's even possible to measure. Obviously, ProShop is not inexpensive, although we think it's an incredible value. But yeah, any sense of the return you guys have seen implementing it?
Sure. So one example I can have is that I had one employee who wasn't really pulling their weight. And ProShop metrics can make those things visible. So if paid for itself just by helping us avoid last minute tool orders, tracking material, cleans up inefficiencies. There's dozens of features that quietly save you money every day that you didn't even realize. But if you've got an employee who hides in the background, produces, but they look busy in the background, but they're not really doing much, this will show up for sure. Hey, looks like he ran 5 pieces, and everybody else was running 32. So, what's going on here?
Hmm. And that was with the methods and the systems you had to track things before, that wasn't really visible.
No, it was not visible at all because it's handwritten. The guy just throws, I wrote 8, and somebody's not there transferring what he wrote down to some other type of system to show you what the total is for the month. We're just tracking that he made 8, added to the total. I need 32, right? With ProShop, you can see exactly how many they're making, or whether they're making their numbers. You have metrics to hit based on your actual run times, and this is, well, everyone else is doing the average of 16 parts per hour, and you're managing 3 for an 8-hour shift. You need to explain that, right? So it's not a witch hunt. It's ProShop doing its job and showing the metrics and giving you visibility.
Okay, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I want to talk about the growth you've seen. So I just want to make sure I have it clear and people have it clear. So you're close to doubling the number of employees since you started it. But then you mentioned 4 to 5x to your I think top line billings, like bookings or billings. What you actually throughput and ship and invoice in a month.
Yes.
With the same people though. So was that like you had the original 7 up to a certain point in time, and now you've started adding more, or just can you clarify
Sure.
that?
We knew that to grow, we need some key people in key places, right? So before,
Sure.
there wasn't really a shop foreman. There wasn't really people had clear roles. ProShop, when you get your ProShop, You can make it as complicated as a massive world corporation, or simple it down to a couple of guys that perform these tasks. So now I've got guys that are accountable for inventory, for shop supplies, for tooling or purchasing, right? Each guy takes responsibility, takes the training, and now they are in charge. They are leadership of what's happening in that area. And although we're a small shop, so everybody runs, wears double hats, ProShop puts in place everyone that you need to handle those jobs. So, you don't have an HR department. Well, you do, and you have paperwork inside ProShop to help you handle a couple of things that come up from time to time. You don't have a set quality person other than this guy usually who does it. No, ProShop has the quality metrics. They're assigned training, and they have to pass that training before they're allowed to do certain things inside of the system.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So with the what you just mentioned, the calibration or procurement or quality or whatever, did you hire people into those roles, or did you just train people that were existing, that are machinists or other people that are now sort of responsible for that area?
So we took a good look at what people were doing in the shop, who's qualified, who wants to step up to this role, who has experience. We took all those into consideration. And then the gap was shipping and receiving. One guy in the front office was getting everything ready to ship and receive. Well, if you know that you're going to grow, and now I've got, say 2,000 parts for the year, I've got 66,000 due over 2 years. I've got 200 more of these and 300 more of these. You can't possibly do it. So we hired somebody to specifically do shipping, receiving, and relieving of those roles. The quality person was actually assigned and in their roles through ProShop. They get through training, and now they have that role. The org chart is clean. It looks nice. Everybody has a training. And if you're not sure how ProShop looks, go take a look at the org chart and how it looks, because everyone shows up and what their training is. If they have training, and you can easily assign somebody a new role, transfer the role, issue them training with a couple of clicks. So we only hired when we needed the people to run machines in second shift. We just wanted to fill in that need to run operators on second shift. But with the same staff, it's like, well, is it really 4 times? Absolutely. Like, there's no doubt it's 4 times.
So let's talk about your second shift for a minute. Oftentimes those are hard to fill and then hard to make sure they stay productive because they don't have the support of the day shift and the office staff. Can you just share a little bit about how that's gone for you?
Sure. So we treat second shift identical to first shift. If I do tier Monday, Wednesday, Friday, when second shift comes in, they also participate in tier, right? What's the information being handed down, transferred over, what's going on in the shop. We use ProShop as our go-to for what's next. Here's what's coming down the pipeline. Here's where your material is. Here's what you'll be doing, and here's the metrics you're going to hit, that we'd like to see you hit, and so on. So second shift is about the leadership in its core, but when they have the right tools to see how they're doing, that they can't skate by with a long lunch and things like that, it's easier to manage. We trust the guys that's been here, to qualify for second shift. In my opinion, you've got to be here for years. You've got to have, you've already got to put the work in to be trusted to be on second shift, right? Because there's really no oversight other than your own. But that's not true, because you can come in the morning. First thing we do is take a look at what night shift did. Where'd they leave off? Where are the transfer notes, for what they did, and the transfer, how they communicated what they did and what's next, and where they were. It's clean. You can see it all, and day shift comes in and hits the ground running without having to decipher a handwritten note somewhere or post it that blew away.
So are you using the built-in shift tie-in page and system?
We weren't doing it at first because, again, ProShop has so many features. We were Excel on this one, then this one, then this one. And it was like, I'm like, well, here's one of the things we've got going on. The shift tie-in wasn't working with this, but it was with this. And it's just a couple of feature clicks, and it's been fantastic. So now everybody has to, day or night shift, whether they're running that machine every single day, they fill in the shift time notes, what they left, what they did, what they left off with, and how it's running. So that's the common,
Oh,
again, that's the common
that's
culture
amazing.
across all the guys in the shop.
So even if someone's gonna come on and run their own machine again the next day without a night shift running it, for example, they still leave a tie-in just so they can remember yesterday what they were doing and where they were at.
Yeah, you
Is
want
that
it
what
to be
you're
muscle
saying?
memory so that it becomes the norm. Because
Yeah.
if you don't, oh, I forgot I had to do that. Or, hey, the guy was going to come in, but he got his family emergency and, life happens and he won't be in for 3 days, right? So something happens. The shift tie-in notes, we could go back and read exactly what's been going on. Hey, this sensor's been giving me problems. I need to check the coolant viscosity tomorrow. We can pick up right where he left off and seamlessly continue without the, well, I don't know what's happening. And, this guy always runs this thing. I don't know what he's doing. Those days are gone. You have shift tie-in, you have accountability, and you have a seamless transition from day shift to night shift. And also, our culture is never. I know it seems, when it's great, it's great, but we don't have the culture where it's day shift versus night shift. We don't have that culture. So one guy runs, and I've seen it before. One guy can run 44 parts, but they can't count them in ProShop until they've finished debug, ready to move on. Right. So one guy's running two machines. He gets 44 parts done. Next guy comes in behind him, deburrs all 44 parts and counts 44 parts. It's a high five. Thanks for getting that for me. Not, hey, he counted all my parts. So that culture again is in your leadership. But ProShop, has a system where you have to complete the parts before they move on. And if you've got guys who are running two machines and they're not able to catch up and debug, those are perfectly fine. And their numbers don't crash because there's a hole in that part from what we quoted. I can go back and see the metrics for that part. ProShop has a quick little clock in the top left. You click that, you can see the history of who ran that part uh, for work order, or go to the part level, hit the clock, and I can see from the beginning of time how we improved.
Yeah, I love that. So are you having them put in time tracking notes, just a little, couple words or a sentence about how it went? Like if they didn't deburr and didn't log those parts,
Yeah,
but that you wanted to record that they actually did machine them all.
yeah. So they do put in what they did in the far right. They fill in just quick what they did, and I'm a stickler for technology, so they can go hit dictate on Microsoft and just speak into the microphones and type away. There's no having the typety type stuff. So that was something we did because I can't type, save my life. And I got to go back and spell check it a million times. But I hit dictate, I can just say what we did, and then we move right on. So
That
but it
is
makes it
super cool.
seamless, so it's easier. When you say ProShop makes your life easy, like yes, it does. But here are some of the features you didn't even know that you can make your life easier. And as
Yeah.
long as it becomes the normal muscle memory culture of the shop, it may take every shop's different, but as long as you roll it out and give the guys room to breathe with it, it's going to be works great.
hmm hmm Man, I love that dictating. That is super cool. Yeah, I've not heard of someone do it, especially out on the shop floor. That's brilliant. All right. This kind of change can be stressful during the height of it. There's lots happening. There's things shifting around. But we often talk about like this effort curve. Like the curve gets steep. It's a lot of effort. Sometimes you're doing dual entry, like you said. You kind of dual systems, and then once you're at the peak of it, and then things start to flow and start to get easier, and then you're in this sort of new normal. Can you just describe a little bit of that process? And now that you're in this place, is it less stressful? Do you work less hours? I mean, I know you kind of came into it at the beginning, so you didn't really have much of a pre-pro shop history, but maybe just speak about that a little bit.
Well, when you're looking for feedback, it should be from experienced professionals. If you're chasing big growth, you're not working fewer hours. So I appreciate the working fewer hours, but I've got John making sure we're growing. So there's no few hours because of what.
Yeah, you're doing 4 or 5x the
Yeah.
revenue.
But we're way more organized and confident. But that's the bottom line is answering customer questions is fast, planning is clear, execution is really smooth. Instead of tribal knowledge and chaos, we really got, a shared digital system that's team wide with clarity. That's the best way to put it. So, you know, we're at a place now where we know what it's supposed to look like, now how it's supposed to work. We're tidying up some of the early days of ProShop when we just put in information without realizing the effect it'll have later on, which is part of the growth process. And now I can sit back and say, hey, if we buy a bigger building, we do this and we can do this, we're now planning on a larger facility with more equipment because we now know not just our schedule, we know what's due, we know what we can do, we know how long the training is going to take, we know how long it's going to take to ramp up to meet this based on previous runs. It's a couple of clicks away. If I wanted to find out, hey, what was this part you ran, last year, I can see exactly what we did last year and I can compare it to what's running this year. So when the customer wants to know, hey, where's my X% reduction for year-over-year LTA work, I can share with them. Here's where we are now. Here's where we were. Here's where we're going to be, and here's what we're after in the long-term scheme of things. But if you want to grow and you want to get organized, you're not going to find a better system than ProShop. And like I said, the world's shrinking. Anyone can do the research, but you just want to get the feedback from experienced professionals who's done it in flow.
Appreciate you sharing it that clearly. Tell me about some of the sort of biggest wins and best strategic moves you've made and best decisions you made in the last couple of years.
To increase revenue, that's kind of the standard, the big one we've had. We're taking on more work with the same team. We talked about that, using ProShop to guide us. Strategic moves, using ProShop scheduling to plan, kind of seamlessly between projects without the chaos. That's a real big win. Best decision, probably letting the team make mistakes, learn to grow in the software. So you got to have the staff behind the ERP system. I've watched other E2 specifically, I watched a shop buy it and in 6 months, trash the whole thing, literally trash the whole thing.
That's
and the reality is we let people grow and make mistakes. So if a guy types in the wrong thing, doesn't fill out something, there's still muscle memory, learning curve. There's no, hey, it's the leadership that doesn't come down on them for making mistakes. It's, hey, this is a learning opportunity. We have tier, or we'll get the quick all hands to get people together to see, here's an immediate need that we can do in ProShop that's been a mistake or something we rolled out as a mistake. Hey, you got to click this instead of this. ProShop gives you the option to add to your part count or do it automatically. So when they make a change and we make a company-wide change, the guys can make mistakes and it's easily fixable. So the first half of ProShop was rolling it out, getting people to see what the software can do, how they navigate through it, and how their participation makes it better. Everything from fully managing the BOM to counting your time, to shift tie-in, to the notes of what you did through the day, need any tools. All those things are growing pains. But like I said, once you get past that level of here's where our ProShop champion is, helping the people out. Here's what we've experienced this past week in mistakes. Nobody gets beat down. And the other thing we do is, hey, the old way was this way, and this is what you're used to. Let's see a parallel until you realize ProShop is exactly what it says it is, tracking exactly what it's supposed to track. And you can no longer need that Excel spreadsheet. So we lean that way. And that was a growth process that I knew we had to have because change and uncertainty is, oh, this ain't going to work. You may have one or two naysayers, and then you show them that this not only does work and it's accurate, and now your life is easier. Oh, here's what he says in the notes. Here's the shift tie-in was. Here's what we got going on today. Here's what's coming in this week because the material is not going to be to switch it over. All those things are much, much easier. And now when we have a GE call or I got a call from John or we got a text from somebody, we just simply go, and it sounds cliche as what does ProShop say? Clickety click, and it's accurate. So again, those hunting down the answers, archaic, running through, with the Creed, with Nicolas Cage, that would be us if we didn't have ProShop. We'd be in the Stone Age of manufacturing still, chasing paper, making guesses, repeating mistakes. I know it sounds funny, but that's the reality of how big it'll be having software works for us.
Mhm. I like your comments about letting people make mistakes, but not coming down on them. Like they need to feel some ownership and some empowerment that they can be part of the success, and they they have your support. And what you're really talking about is change management. And your story about the E2 and 6 months of trashing it, that was that was probably largely the company's issue, not necessarily the software itself, because you can take the best software in the world and do a terrible job implementing it.
Absolutely. But if the guy, I've been doing this a long time, and if the guys on the floor aren't behind it, if they don't understand that here's how it works, here's how to use it, here's how to trust it, it'll never take off. It just won't take off. And like I said, E2s, they've got a footing in this industry, and they've been around for a few years. But anybody who has E2 and is watching this video, if something gets clogged, everything stops. And you have to go and find the experts, find out what was clicked wrong, what wasn't able to move to the next routing operation before it moves on. And in a world where guys, I've been throwing chips, not just in this office, for over 30 years. The guys who are on the floor making the chips don't want to fuss with the software side of it. Most guys don't care about it. They want to turn chips, make parts, and produce. So when you've got something that's clogged, it's not easy to use, not easy to fix, not easy to train. I'm not saying E2 is horrible, but I'm just saying you can ask anybody who's had E2 and implemented it. Even after 3 years, they're still pulling their hair out because this always happens. I got a part mid-process that's in waiting, and now we can't find it. Can't find it in the system. We can't. We don't have a park it over here until the next batch of FPI is ready or whatever's going on with it. E2 is much easier. Much easier to fix, much easier to work with, much easier to navigate. If I want to move my car from this machine to this machine, it's a couple of clicks and it's right in the schedule.
It is for ProShop, you mean?
Yeah. It's a thing for ProShop.
Yeah.
Sorry, if I make it clear. Yeah, for ProShop, if I want to move a machine, I can go there, check it out, change the machine it's going to run on, and it's back on the correct schedule and the new schedule that I moved it to. It's pretty easy.
Yeah. Awesome. You already kind of already answered this early on, but one of the last couple of questions here is, can you imagine what your shop would be looking like today if you hadn't done ProShop? Where would you be at? I mean, I know you'd be still on paper and stuff, but like on that revenue growth, would you, I'm sure you might have made some progress with your leadership, but where would you be at?
You can make the project, you can make the leadership change and empower the people and, give them free lunches. We do a lot of good things for these guys here. But if there's no money, you're done. This place would have closed down. There was such a loss, such a catastrophic loss that this shop would cease to exist. You'd have to rebrand, rename, take on different types of work with new structure. But it definitely would not be here. That's a certainty.
You feel like implementing ProShop has helped you get past that tipping point and have the success you're having?
Oh yeah. So when we bought the place, they were catastrophic losses, but nobody was tracking that. There was no sense of tracking. She would just know what went out the door this month, and then that was what came in. But the tools weren't tied to the job that were late. The fixturing wasn't tied to a job. We had to make a new fixture. Timely on each job, who was doing what. One guy could run this machine. Nobody knew how much he was producing. If he was, putting the feed way over here and 100 inches away at an inch a minute and just, relaxing right until it came into whatever the part is. All those days are gone, and thank God. But you asked about where would we be if we didn't have ProShop here? This current shop would not be here. It would cease to exist. Absolutely.
So, the name of this show is Manufacturing Transformed, and we hope to tell the stories of transformation. And you're telling even maybe a slightly different story, that this shop was almost rebirthed and it would not have existed otherwise.
Oh yeah, John's a huge believer in ProShop. That's why you and him are good friends, because he knows what a success it has been. And then we've had the private conversations like, hey, we don't find a way to do this, and this, we won't be here. There's no money to put in and take losses, for a extended amount of time. So taking in ProShop, taking the data in, evaluating the data, showing where you're at, all that is fantastic, but it really works. It really works. It does the job. We've grown, like I said, 4x. I want to say 5x, but let's be conservative, 4x in just a year and a half. And that is being able to schedule, and the same people. And these guys, they get praise. They get accolades. We do lots of stuff for them, but it's the same people. And anybody who knows me or my style, we are very laid back. There's no get out there, get this on, I'm expecting this. There's none of that here. We are family first. If the guys have to take off, every guy here is a grown man. So they have keys and alarm to the shop if they have to come back for night shift to make up time. But we all have our scheduled work to do, and the guys knock it out. If they have to take a time off to run the kids to the hospital or run an errand, do something that day, there is no problem with that because they can come back and make up those times. They know exactly what the metrics are they got to hit. They have access Saturdays and Sundays if they really, really need to. Can't work alone. But we have those things in place to make them be successful. ProShop just gives them the visibility and what's required. And then while they're here, if you've got a runtime of 45 minutes, we don't need a Kanban board to say, take on this task or this task. We already know as a group what's coming down the pipeline, what needs to be bag and tagged, where you can help out with this, where you can fill in with this, where you can prep this material. So everybody comes together. And again, it's the same people, different culture, with ProShop as the backbone or core place to look to operate. So, we can't say enough about it.
I really wish I could have been down to visit and see it before and then see it now. It must be quite a satisfying.
If I showed you pictures, you wouldn't believe it. And I know some people watching this podcast would be like, they're exacerbating, they're exaggerating. I can tell you that our first order of business, and again, the previous owner is not here to defend himself, but we walked in and, John and I met, we talked over some dinners about what to expect. And me and my wife talked and decided to take this leap, and so we come in there and he had hired me before they closed on the business. So I had faith that, it's going to work out. But we got here and real quick, the bathrooms had just the movie Saw atmosphere. It was horrible. Like one rickety light hanging from the ceiling. All that was just like, you couldn't get 10 feet near it. There was a sink in there that was not connected, sitting on a pallet. You had to wash your hands outside with the parts wash. And I was like, what did I get myself into? And the first order of business was to transform and empower the guys. They now have shirts, but it's not normal shirts. We've got regular shirts for work, and we've also got nicer polo shirts. When customers come in, they all got embroidered polo shirts. We do, lunches once a month. We try and get lunches once a month off you guys. Free water, Albuquerque to a top. It's all with this pounds of water in the fridge. It's free. You used to have to pay for those type of things. Every morning a tier. Everybody there has a voice, whether you're new or experienced. We have a topic, you want to speak on it, or hey, I used to do this way, or hey, let's try this, or whatever. Everybody has a voice. ProShop allows everyone to leave notes, leave emails, leave comments that are productive and helpful. So I mean, it's a whole culture change in the shop. But the transformation from where we were a year and a half ago, what the facility looked like. We painted the place, put new signs up, gave you guys shirts, you name it. And the culture, the attitude, everybody is just proud of the way the shop looks. We rearranged the machines for a better fit. We let everyone who has a say run with their ideas. So, we never do it as a dictatorship. If we have an idea of how to rearrange the shop, let's talk about why you want to do it, what's the financial impact, and how's it going to help us growth in the long run. We agree with it. We change the entire shop. Like, it looks totally different. The people that come in here are like, I don't even recognize the place. The salesmen that come in and the other guys that come in on the regular, they're excited about the transformation.
Well, I think we might need to see some before and after pictures, and we can share them on the podcast page. That sounds amazing to be a part of.
Would be happy to
Good for
see.
you guys. That is just brilliant. And John and Trisha must be just so excited about saving this shop. Really,
Yeah, like I said,
business.
early on, most guys retire, and this guy buys a shop. I was trying to explain to the guys, like, hey, he's emailing at 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning. I said, yeah, and he should be retired and going fishing or sitting on a beach in Hawaii somewhere. But he bought a shop to make this place better and make everybody grow. We are growing, and everybody that's in this shop has the skill set and training available to be the subject matter expert to train the next group that comes in. And that's where we're heading.
So good. Well, and Mike, if people want to learn more about Serbin and call you up because they want to send work to this incredibly empowered company, how would you recommend they reach out to you?
They can always call us direct, 505-823-2211, 505-823-2211. Joe's the front desk guy. Joe Martinez. I'm Mike Hudson, operation manager. James Connick is their shop foreman. We've got a great team here. Anything that you'd like to quote, bring us work, see how we do it, see how we take difficult jobs and make it happen and deliver with impeccable quality, I say bring it on.
Love it. Great elevator pitch. And you guys have a website too?
We do, but it's been from the previous owner. And me and John have we need to change that because there's no ITAR in there. There's no quality manual. It's just a website that the Sandbox needs to have. We haven't really got to yet, but if anybody's out that can help us with that, give us a call. We'd be happy to talk about it.
That's good because people will probably look it up anyway. So it's good to address the elephant in the room that you haven't gotten to tackling that yet. But you're doing the right things first on the shop floor with culture and people and machines and processes. And so it's such an honor to be a part of this transformation with you guys. And thank you so much for sharing on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem. I love being here. And like I said, looking forward to what's next with ProShop and helping us grow. We can scale awesome. We can scale real nice with this software.
Awesome. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you.